Ever landed on a website or opened an app and instantly felt like completely lost? Like you needed a map just to find what you were looking for?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you click a button
Yeah.
and nothing. Or you try to fill out a form and it feels like you're being interrogated.
Right. Or maybe you tried signing up for something new, got hit with this wall of questions, and just thought, nope, I'm out.
hmm Those moments, that digital friction, it's usually not an accident. It's often the direct result of, well, let's be honest, bad design choices.
And they don't just annoy you. Bad UI can actually cost companies millions.
Yeah,
Seriously.
millions. I mean, think about an online store. If the checkout button is confusing, maybe 10% of people just abandon their carts. That adds up so fast.
It really does. So what makes the difference? What separates those frustrating experiences from the ones that feel, you know, smooth, effortless, almost invisible?
Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today.
Welcome back, everyone, to the UX Cast podcast, right here on the Mask Designer channel.
Today we're doing a Learning UX with dialogue session focused on user interface design UI. We're looking at the essential principles and the real-world impact that makes digital stuff actually work.
Yeah, we're going beyond just, does it look pretty? I mean, aesthetics matter, sure, but we're talking about crafting interfaces that are fundamentally functional.
Exactly. The aim is to make digital products intuitive, efficient, and, honestly, enjoyable to use.
It's kind of the bridge, isn't it, between the big strategy, what the product should do, and the actual screens and buttons you interact with.
Right. UI translates all that user experience thinking into the tangible bits you see and touch.
And this isn't just a nice to have, like some extra polish. Good UI is really a strategic imperative now.
Oh, absolutely. An excellently crafted UI directly hits the bottom line. When an interface is effortless, users are just more engaged.
And engaged users, they stick around longer. It's that simple.
It's a huge driver for retention. And the flip side is true, too. A clunky, frustrating UI. That's a fast track to users just giving up on the product.
They leave, transactions fail, conversions tank. That's missed revenue, negative ROI. It's serious business.
It really is. Clear, simple interfaces. They demonstrably improve conversion rates. It makes UI way more than just a creative task.
It's a core strategic function. It's vital for whether a product gets accepted in the market and succeeds financially. It influences everything.
Right, from that first impression to long-term loyalty. So, yeah, it is strategic. It underpins commercial success. It's why companies invest so much in getting it right. That mix of great visuals and effortless operation, that's the sweet spot.
Okay. So UI is this crucial strategic bridge. It's meant to make things effortless and boost business.
Yeah.
But how do designers actually make something feel intuitive? What are the secret ingredients? It can't just be magic.
Definitely not magic. There are foundational principles, sort of the underlying rules that guide how things look and feel right. It's a mix of science and art.
Let's get into those building blocks then. Where do we start?
Well, let's start with the principles that guide your eye and kind of set the visual tone. First up, visual hierarchy.
Ah, right. You probably encounter this constantly without even realizing it. It's how things are arranged to guide your eyes, help you scan quickly.
Exactly. It's all about signaling what's most important. We do this using variations in size, color, layout, different font sizes and weights.
Like headings being bigger and bolder than paragraph text.
Precisely. That helps you scan and find key info fast. Little things, too, like using bold or italics for emphasis. Sometimes designers even use things like the golden ratio to make sure key elements, like the main call to action button, really grab your attention.
It's all about making it easier to process the screen, reducing that mental effort.
Then there's spacing, or what designers often call white space, those empty areas. They're not wasted space at all.
They're actually active design choices, aren't they?
Absolute's critical. White space prevents things from looking cluttered. It makes individual elements stand out more clearly, simplifies the visual journey, and massively improves readability and focus.
It adds a bit of elegance, too, I think.
It does. And functionally, giving elements room to breathe just reduces that cognitive load, makes the whole thing feel calmer, easier to take in.
Okay, next up, typography. This one's huge. It's not just picking a pretty font, right?
Not at all. It's the whole art and science of arranging text so it's super readable, conveys information clearly, and subtly communicates the product's personality or tone.
And there's a lot to consider there, like making sure text works on all screen sizes. Responsive design is key.
Totally. Things like line spacing, text size, and crucially, the contrast between the text and its background. These are fundamental for legibility. Even how paragraphs are aligned matters. Left align is usually best for readability in English.
Good typography does more than just organize text. It reinforces the brand's voice, doesn't it? Like a bank app feels different from a game, partly because of the fonts.
Exactly. Poor typography feels like the app is either shouting at you or mumbling incoherently. It causes frustration.
Whereas good typography feels like a clear, pleasant conversation.
Right. Which brings us nicely to color theory. Colors aren't just decoration. They evoke emotions, influence how we interpret things.
Understanding the psychology is interesting, but for UI, the practical side is key, creating harmony with color schemes.
hmm But critically for UI, color is about usability and inclusivity. High contrast between text and background. That's not just a style choice. It's a basic accessibility need.
You can't rely only on color to convey meaning either because of color blindness.
Exactly. We need alternative cues, things like patterns, textures, clear text labels. There are tools and checkers to help with this. Good design systems, like Shopify Polaris, for example, build accessibility right into their color palettes from the ground up.
So color impacts the look, the brand, and whether everyone can actually use the product. Poor contrast literally excludes people.
It does. Okay, so we've covered guiding the eye and setting the tone. Now let's talk about the principles that kind of build the backbone of the interface and ensure it works for everyone. Layout grids.
Ah, the invisible scaffolding.
Pretty much. Grids are structured systems.
Hmm.
Think columns, gutters between the margins around the edges. They provide a framework to organize and align everything on the screen.
They stop it from becoming a chaotic mess, maintain order, create a consistent flow.
And they are absolutely essential for responsive design, making sure your layout adapts nicely from a huge desktop screen down to a tiny phone while still feeling coherent. Systems like Google's Material Design rely heavily on grids.
They make the design process faster too, right? And users benefit because things feel predictable.
Definitely. It makes things more reliable across different platforms and directly impacts how easily the design can scale up.
And the principle that really ties a lot of this together, contrast, readable text, adaptable layouts, is accessibility.
Yes, making interfaces usable for all users, regardless of their abilities, disabilities, or background.
And this is so important. It's not an optional extra or a niche thing anymore. It's a core design imperative.
Absolutely. We mentioned color contrast and legible typography, but it also means supporting keyboard navigation for people who can't use a mouse. That requires things like visible focus indicators, so you always know which element is selected.
And using special code attributes, ARIA attributes, so screen readers can understand the content and structure for users with vision impairments, plus providing alternative text for images.
Avoiding keyboard traps where someone can navigate into an area but not out, ensuring a logical focus order. It's comprehensive.
Good. Modern design systems integrate this stuff deeply now, don't they? It's not bolted on afterwards.
Right. It's built into the components, the colors, the typography, the interaction patterns. It's foundational.
Ethically, it's just the right thing to do, but
Right.
it's also smart business.
Totally. Designing accessibly expands your potential audience, reduces legal risks, and honestly, it often leads to better, more robust design solutions for everyone. Constraints can spark creativity.
Speaking of potential problems, I heard about this UI designer, right? They tried using bright yellow text on a pure white background for all their error messages.
Oh no. Yellow on white, what happened?
Well, their users just couldn't see the problem. They had absolutely no contrast.
Huh. That's brilliant. But it really shows how vital these seemingly simple things are, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, so thinking about all these foundational principles we just covered, visual hierarchy, spacing, typography, color, grids, and accessibility, which one of these do you listening think gets overlooked the most often in the apps and websites you use every day?
Mm-hmm. Think about the last time something felt awkward or frustrating online. Was it one of these principles being ignored?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We genuinely love reading your answers and hearing what you notice out there.
Okay, so we have the building blocks, the fundamental principles. Now, how do designers actually, put it all together? How do they take a concept and turn it into something real, usable, and scalable?
Right, it's not just doodling. There's a structured workflow involved.
It usually starts pretty rough with wireframes.
Think of these like architectural blueprints for a website or app that they're low fidelity, like simple sketches or diagrams.
Yeah, they focus purely on structure, layout, and the basic function of each screen or step in a process. They deliberately leave out visual details like colors, specific images, or the final fonts.
And keeping them simple, low fidelity, that's actually the key strength, right?
Absolutely. It allows for really rapid ideation and changes. It forces the team to focus on structure and flow first, without getting distracted by whether they like the button color.
Saves a lot of time and rework later on. Easier to test basic flows and information architecture this way, too.
Exactly. Once that structure feels solid, then you move on to mockups. These start adding the visual layer.
So mockups are more medium to high fidelity. They're static pictures, basically, showing how the final design is intended to look.
Right. You add the specific colors, the chosen typography, icons, maybe some placeholder images, branding elements like logos. They bridge that gap between the simple wireframe blueprint and what the final product will look like.
Essential for getting everyone on the same page about the visual direction, getting stakeholder buy-in before you spend time building anything interactive.
And as you're creating these mockups, you inevitably start noticing patterns, elements that you're using over and over again.
Like buttons, input fields, cards.
Exactly. And that leads naturally into component-based design, breaking the interface down into smaller, reusable pieces.
These become like modular building blocks. Defining these components clearly is super important for efficiency, consistency, and making the whole thing scalable.
Yeah, best practices involve giving each component a single, clear purpose, designing it to be flexible so it can be reused in different situations, maybe using things called props to customize it slightly, keeping them focused, naming them clearly.
This is where principles like consistency really become practical. Instead of designing 50 slightly different buttons, you design one button component with its variations, primary, secondary, disabled, whatever.
And then you reuse that everywhere.
Yeah.
It massively speeds up development and stops design debt, all those little inconsistencies from piling up.
And this whole component approach is really the foundation for the next big step, right? Design systems.
Ah, yes, the engine room. A design system is basically the ultimate single source of truth for a product's UI.
It's a comprehensive collection, guidelines, tools, those reusable components we just talked about, all working together to ensure the product experience is cohesive, consistent, and scalable.
And it's much more than just a style guide or a library of components. A proper system integrates visual styles, the UI components themselves, detailed guidelines on how and when to use them, documentation, built-in accessibility standards, sometimes even ready-to-use code snippets.
They often have layers, right, like foundational elements.
Yeah, sometimes called pillars. You often start with tokens. These are like variables for foundational things. Specific color values, font sizes, spacing units. Change a token, and it updates everywhere it's used. Super powerful for global changes.
And then you have the basic building blocks, maybe called primitives, like the styled button or input field component.
Right. Flexible, composable pieces, like Lego bricks.
And then you build more complex things, components, by combining those primitives, like a complete product card or a login form.
Exactly. Eliminates tons of repetition. The advantages are huge. Brand consistency at scale, a shared library for designers and engineers, faster feature development, better collaboration, because everyone's speaking the same language.
Faster time to market, cost savings, less design debt, easier A/B testing. The list goes on.
Big examples people might know are things like Shopify's Polaris, Google's Material Design, IBM's Carbon System. They're major investments.
Requires real commitment, right? Buy-in, research, building components, documentation, training, ongoing maintenance.
Definitely. Regular audits, version control, close collaboration between design and engineering, often called design ops. It's crucial to keep it alive and useful.
So a design system isn't just assets, it's really a methodology. A way to align teams and work efficiently, focusing energy on solving unique problems instead of reinventing standard UI patterns.
Precisely. It transforms how teams collaborate and build products.
Okay. Principles understood, process laid out, maybe even a shiny design system in place. But what happens when actual users meet the product in the real world? Things can still go wrong. There are common hurdles that trip people up.
These are the moments where even a well-designed interface can fail if specific user challenges aren't tackled head-on. Let's talk about some key ones.
Challenge number one, the onboarding experience, that very first interaction.
Yeah, the problem here is that first impressions are critical. New users can easily feel overwhelmed, confused about where to start. High churn rates often happen right at the beginning if onboarding is poor.
So the solution is about providing a gentle, clear guide, things like guided tutorials or interactive walkthroughs.
Exactly. Think of Duolingo, how it introduces concepts step by step. Also, frictionless sign-up, offering multiple ways to sign up, like using Google or Apple accounts. Miro does that well.
Personalized onboarding can help too, tailoring the first few steps based on what the user says they want to achieve. ClearCalcs does something like that.
And just being crystal clear up front. about the value proposition. Show the user quickly why they should stick around.
Good onboarding isn't just nice, it's a critical conversion point. Studies suggest it can boost retention significantly, maybe even up to 50%.
It reduces that initial cognitive load and guides users to that first aha moment where they see the product's value.
Okay, next common sticking point, complex forms.
Forms. Often the last hurdle before a really important action, signing up, buying something, finishing a profile, if they're long, confusing, or tricky.
People just bail. High drop-off rates, frustration, errors.
Yeah. So the solutions here start with ruthless simplicity. Ask only for what you absolutely need. You'd be surprised how many fields can often be cut.
Clear guidance is vital too. Labels above the fields, not inside them. Obvious icons. Helpful little tooltips if needed. And a single column layout usually works best.
Right. For longer forms, break them down. Multi-step forms or wizards with a progress bar so people know where they are. I read about Venture Harbor taking a huge 30-plus question form, breaking it into 4 steps, and getting a 53% conversion rate.
Wow. Inline validation is key too, right? Giving feedback immediately as someone types, not making them wait until they hit submit.
Essential, like how Remote does their sign-up. Smart automation helps pre-filling information where possible, using white space and grouping to organize related fields visually, making buttons clearly show their state, maybe disabling submit until everything's valid.
And please, please avoid those awful shappy TCHAs unless absolutely unavoidable. They kill completion rates.
Seriously, optimizing forms is really applied psychology. Reducing the perceived effort makes a massive difference to completion rates, data accuracy, and conversions.
Okay, final big challenge area. Handling error states.
Because users will make mistakes. It happens. How the interface responds is crucial. Vague messages, no feedback, or messages that sound like they're blaming the user.
Instant frustration. People give up, or they flood your support lines.
Exactly. The solution is about empathy and clarity. Error messages need to be clear, specific, and actionable. Don't just say error. Explain what's wrong, use plain language, and tell the user how to fix it.
Like when Netflix tells you clearly your payment failed and guides you to update it. Visible highlighting helps too. Red borders, icons, maybe a clear banner.
And the tone needs to be empathetic, respectful, guiding, not blaming. Inline validation helps catch errors right where they happen. Offering undo function, like Gmail's undo send, is brilliant for catching little slips.
Providing feedback that's relevant to the context is important too, and using big interruptions like modals only for really critical errors, not minor stuff.
Good error handling turns potential failure into a guided recovery. It builds trust because users feel supported. It cuts down on support requests and improves satisfaction immensely.
It's proactive communication, really. Showing the user what's wrong and how to fix it reinforces usability.
Turns frustration into a feeling of competence.
So we've covered a lot. From the strategic importance of UI through the core principles, the design process, and tackling those common real-world hurdles. Now, let's talk about how thinking like a UI designer can be valuable, even if you're not one.
Absolutely. Whether you're a designer, developer, PM, marketer, or just someone using digital products every day, understanding how to look critically at UI is like a superpower.
It helps you spot why something feels good or bad to use. It gives you the vocabulary to talk about it effectively. And if you work with design teams, it makes collaboration so much smoother.
Right. It's about moving beyond gut feelings like, I don't like this color, to a more objective assessment based on principles and user needs.
You can actually use a kind of evaluation framework, asking the questions a designer might ask themselves during a critique. Start with visuals and branding.
Is the contrast okay for reading? Are the colors, fonts, images consistent? Do they match the brand?
Then look at layout and navigation. Is information organized logically? Is it easy to find stuff? Is navigation intuitive and consistent? Is there enough white space, or does it feel cramped?
And critically, accessibility and inclusivity. Can people with different abilities use it? Keyboard navigation, screen readers, contrast checks.
Think about interactions and responsiveness. Do buttons and links work as expected? Is it laggy? Does it look and work okay on your phone, tablet, and desktop?
And then, the big picture, overall usability and performance. Does it actually feel easy to use? Does it solve the problem it's supposed to solve efficiently? Does it feel polished and smooth?
This kind of thinking connects to that idea of handoff readiness. Will the design actually work well once it's built?
Understanding these points just empowers you. It gives you a way to assess products objectively, appreciate the thought that goes into good design, and work better with others if you're involved in building things.
Okay, so let's wrap up our Learning UX with Dialogue session on UI design. key takeaway. UI is strategic, it's dynamic, it's way more than just aesthetics.
Right. It directly impacts usability, adoption, and business success. It's built on practical principles guiding the eye, ensuring clarity, maintaining consistency, building structure, and crucially, including everyone through accessibility.
It's all about making things feel effortless and communicating clearly. The workflow is structured from rough wireframes to detailed mockups, using reusable components, and ideally, building comprehensive design systems.
And tackling those common friction points, tricky onboarding, complex forms, confusing errors with user-centered solutions is vital for turning frustration into satisfaction and trust.
And remember that crucial collaboration piece. Great UI doesn't happen in a silo. It needs UX, UI, engineering, product, everyone working together.
Definitely. The tech landscape keeps changing. AI, 3D interfaces, who knows what's next. But as the interfaces themselves evolve, remember what makes UI truly effective.
What's that?
A deep understanding of you, the user, a commitment to consistency, and teams collaborating effectively. Those core principles, they're timeless.
Well said. Now, if you found this exploration of real-world UI design helpful, we'd be really grateful if you could give this video a like. It genuinely helps us figure out what topics you find most valuable.
And if you know someone else who might benefit from this, a colleague, a student, a friend, anyone curious about what makes digital products tick, please do share this episode with them.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the Masked Designer channel for more insights into UX, UI, and the whole world of design. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It was great chatting about this.